so for the stem and leaf, you can see what the definition is. And the purpose of the stem and leaf, just like most graphs, is to organize the data to make it a little bit more neat and easier to read. But what it does is that it breaks it up by the stems and the leaves. Now, the leaves are characterized by the last digit in the number. So if it's a 2-digit number, then the leaf would be the number to the right in the ones place. If it's a 2-digit number, then the stem would be the tens place. If it is a 3-digit number, your leaf is still the ones digit, but now your stem would be the tens and the hundreds place. Okay? If it's a decimal, like 10.5, the leaf would be the decimal point, the 0.5. The stem would be the 10. And you're going to see that as we practice more of these. But let me just help you interpret this data here. So it looks like we have maybe some sort of physical fitness test, maybe in PE class. They're measuring the number of sit-ups that a group of kids can do. And these are the results for a particular class. Now, let me just focus in here on this part right there, okay? Just all eyes right to that part. The way we read this is that you use your stem as the first digit or digits in the number, and the leaves, like I said, are the last digits. So this 3 followed by the 4 represents 34, the number 34. So somebody in the class did 34 sit-ups. It doesn't mean 34,688. That would be some sort of record, I would think. It's 34, 3-4. Another student in the class did 36. 2 students in the class each did 38. Okay, so that's how you interpret that first row. There's 34, there's 36, and there are 2 38s. Moving this down in the middle row, we have a 40. Some student did 40, another student did 43, 46, and then 2 students did 47. Okay, so that's how you read a stem and leaf plot like that. So from there, you can answer questions that go along with that. For instance, one question I might ask you is, what is the range of data in this class? So PE teacher saying, okay, my largest or the most amount of sit-ups versus the least amount of sit-ups. What was the maximum number of sit-ups done in this particular class? Paul? 52. And the way we can easily read that is, and I'm sure you noticed this, is that the leaves are all done chronologically, from least to greatest as you move to the right. And the stems are also chronologically from top to bottom. So he just went down to the bottom, over to the far right. This 2 represents 52 sit-ups. And we already talked about the least amount being done, and that was 34. So we would say the range of sit-ups is how many? What's the difference between those two, Maggie? More than 12. 52 to 34. What do you have, Joe? It's 18. Okay? Now another question I'm going to ask you, possibly, would be the mode. So what would you say the mode is for this particular one? Actually, this has more than one. Give me a number that could be a mode. Shows up more than once. Luke? Okay, so that 7 represents what total number, though, Luke? 4 and the 7, we call it 47. Okay, because this number is associated with its stem. So 47 is one of the modes. What else? Get a different one. Maddie? 50. Is that it? Brendan? And then there's also a 38. So you could say the mode would be any one of those 3 right there. Okay? I'm also going to talk about median, but I'm going to save that for this next one. So look at this example down here where it's talking about science test grades. And the same thing, we interpret it the exact same way. Now, instead of doing sit-ups, we're doing percentages. So for instance, the 7 with the 2 represents 72%. The 7 with the 9 would be 79%, et cetera, et cetera. So what I'd like you to do, look at this list and see if you can calculate the mode for me. What number or numbers represent the mode here? Any ideas at first glance? Go ahead, Nico, you see one? One that appears more often than others? There are a couple in this case. I think there are 3 actually in this particular example. Go ahead, Mia. Give me all of them. Yeah, look at the two 2s, which means 72. The 2 7s, which mean 87, and the 2 zeros here represent 100. So our 3 modes would be 72, 87, and 100. All the other ones only appear one time, so they would not be considered that. So now we move to a median. How many of you, when you guys do the median, prefer the crossing out method, where you start at the one end, you just bookend and just work your way in? Okay, if you do that, it certainly can, because these are already organized in order for you. So the first one we'd cross out would be the 2. And then we would cross out the largest number, which would be this 0 to the right out here. Then we do the other 2, the other 0. Now here's where sometimes we make a mistake. If I cross off this 74, what's the next number that needs crossed off? If I'm going from smallest to largest, keep working your way in. Saida? The 98, right? We go back to the end of this line, okay? And then just keep working your way through, just like this. And we go 1, 0. Where do we end up when we keep doing that? Owen? Yeah, so what number does that represent? 87. So you're going to work your way, and I think it's this first 7. There should only be one. I think, were there 4, 8, 11, 14, there are 19 total numbers, which is an odd number, so there should just be one number in the middle. What would our range be? We've already done this. Overall range. Risa, what do you have? 28. It's a 100 is the largest, 72 is the smallest, or the lowest grade. Okay? So that's something you're going to do tonight. You're going to look at a stem and leaf and then find those numbers. The other part is you're going to actually create one. And that's what we're going to finish off with right here. So we look at this data, and we're talking about daily temperatures in Death Valley, California. So it's going to be warm there. And we want to organize this so that your stems go here and the leaves go here. What is the smallest stem? When you glance at the numbers there, what's the smallest stem that we need to list in here? Simon. The 8, right. The smallest number we have is 86. So what other stems do we need? If you read through them in order. Go ahead, Mia. We have the 9s for 90s, the 10s for the 100s, the 11 for the 110s, the 12 for the 120s, and the 13 represents the 130s. Good. So go back up to the 80s. How are we going to list the leaves for this? What way would we put our leaves out there? 6 and a 7, in that order. They must go chronologically, so don't go 7, 6. And I like to put commas between mine just to help me separate. It's not necessary, but I think it helps. And I always cross them off as I do them. So cross them off from your list so you don't duplicate and you don't forget. And then just fill in the rest of these numbers as you go through. Tell me what I'm going to put down for my 90s. What are my leaves here? What goes in the 90s, Joe? Yeah, we have 91 and 97, so in order. What about the hundreds? John Lee? Just a 1. Yeah, we just have a 101 there. How about the 110s? Carl? Yeah, we have a 1 for 111 and a 3 here for 113. How about the 120s? Brendan? Good, and I like how he acknowledged there are 2 zeros. You can't just put 1 and say, well, I don't have to write it again. Absolutely, you got to account for everything. So 2 zeros, a 5, and a 6. And then, Simon, a 4 for the 134. And that's how you would create a stem and leaf plot. Now from there, you could find all the different values that go along with that. The median, the mode, the range. You could find the mean as well, but this organizes it into a set of data pretty easily. Okay? All right, tonight, we are going to work on this worksheet here. It is on the